Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions, 4 p.m. Tuesday afternoon. Kellianne is here with me today. We're going to be talking about exits, and in the sense that life after exit, because Kelly had an exit last year. While I share to the group, Kelly, do you mind just let people know what you've been up to this week, and we'll get into your story in a sec.
Absolutely. It's been a busy week already. And ever since COVID hit, I feel like 1 week runs into the next, but it's all good. It's all fun. I've been working on analyzing some deals for acquisition. I'm doing some consulting for an Amazon aggregator right now and looking for deals, and also been working on my own podcast. I've also been on a couple other podcasts already yesterday. So it's been a busy week.
Excellent. All right. I'm just nearly finishing sharing to the groups. Okay, so there's one thing I want to talk about with everyone at the moment. I do regular check-ins, friends, family, people in the community and stuff. And I think it's important is that how long with COVID going on and we're on our second lockdown and everything else. I had a family member who's attempted suicide twice in COVID. And we know that the rates have doubled now. And I just want to appeal to everyone out there, just take care of your mental health. Hiding away and not showing it isn't like a strength. By being vulnerable, that is a strength also, because I check in with people and they will seem on the surface the most complete people that but underneath they're struggling themselves. And you'd be very surprised. Some of the people you listen to the podcast will know these people and won't guess it for a second. So with that in mind, and suicide rates, I think they're up like 200% at the moment. And it would be unfair of me just to check in with people to see how their mental health is, because it's like, well, how's yours then? So what I did a while back is I don't have one coach, I have two. So basically, for me to stay in tip-top condition, or at least try and stay at peak performance, it's a prevention rather than the cure. So there's been times where I've had to dig out of dark holes in my own life. And rather than going back there again, because I have a habit of working my ass off burnout, right? So we're in Q4. I have like everyone who's listening, we all have huge responsibility. And for a lot of people in Q4, a lot is at stake. But the problem is, I think people will bury these, and all they're going to do is just focus on, I'll sort that bit out after Q4. I sort it out, and they leave it to later. And I think what happens is that's when it catches up with you. So it's easier to be in the up cycle and do a prevention rather than cure than it is to be in the down cycle and then try and dig yourself out of it. So we've just done, there's a few of us that got together for a new initiative, right? So on Instagram, let me just quickly pull it up. What we're trying to do is get everyone moving. We've got a hashtag called Movement is Medicine. So there's Sean Smith, Mina Elias, Rich Hawkins, Kim Ford, Steph Kalik, Kian Golzari, and there's a few more of us that are getting involved in it. And what it is every day we're going to post, and we've been doing it, post the workout, right? We're not talking about a still image where you can tip a cup of tea over your head and look like you've been sweating. It has to be a 15-second clip. All we're trying to do is get people to move for 15 minutes. So the idea is if you tag me in, I'll share it to my stories. You won't want to share mine with me bouncing around in compression gear. I can promise you that. But the whole point is trying to think, well, what can we do? And I think just the point of getting people to move, don't matter what you look like. As I said, look, if you're a woman listening to the podcast and you're worried because like you haven't got your makeup on, every time you worry about that, go and take a look at me prancing around in a compression suit, and all your fears will dissipate. Yeah. So it's a serious message, and I want it to be a positive message as well. If you're stuck, go and get help. If you have got to a stage where you at and you can't talk to someone, you just got to push past that barrier. And I tell you now, once you've spoken to one person, you break the seal, you'll feel 100 times better. And I think that is the step that a lot of people need to step over. So without further ado, let's get into your story. So we're going to be talking about the history of you exiting your Amazon business. So tell me, going back from the beginning, when did you start on selling on Amazon? And we'll work the story from there.
Okay, sounds great. And thank you for that message. I couldn't agree with you more. Kudos to bringing that out and public awareness around mental health and physical health. It's so important.
Yeah.
So I started selling on Amazon back in 2014. So I took the popular Amazon training course called Amazing Selling Machine. So I was ASM 3
Yeah.
and joined Ryan Moran's group. He was a big affiliate for ASM and started and launched my brand in August of 2014.
Yes, cool. So let's talk about the rocky road getting there. So you started around 2014. When did you get to the stage where you hit your first million?
It was that Q4. I got really lucky with my first product and got really lucky with my supplier relationship, even though I had never dealt with, designing or manufacturing goods in China. Yeah. I found a really good supplier and he was able to, when demand really increased during that Q4, I was able to airship and he was able to kind of front me the inventory to fuel that growth so early on.
Yeah. So so let's walk through that. Is there stuff you can reveal in products now, or is you still under NDA, etc.?
Yeah, well, I can, and I have before. So yeah, but in terms of like the structure of the deal and specific numbers, yeah, I can't reveal that. But the first product was an infusion water bottle. Right, and okay. This was back before they became really popular. Yeah. And I just kind of had a hunch that this thing was going to take off, and I was lucky it did.
Yeah, cool. And so where did we go from here? So you had is it one of those, you had the first product, you knocked it out the park. It was when did you start that year? Because obviously Q4 gave you the bit of wind behind you and give you a bit of wind in the sails, right? Yeah. So where did you build upon it then?
It started in May of 2014 and it was a uphill battle beginning. And I remember just scratching and clawing my way just to get reviews and just to get sales. And I even encountered a time where I thought, I don't know if this is going to work. And I started really early on diversifying my keyword traffic and started targeting like gift type keywords. Yeah. And that's what really, I think, catapulted the growth in Q4. So again, it was a little bit of luck. It was a little bit of hard work and a little bit of, I always believe in, we make our own luck. So, I worked really hard to get there, but yeah, sure. I was lucky on picking a first product that was a home run.
Cool. So you hit the home run Q4 2014. Where did we go next in 2015?
2015, I was just all about growth, top line growth, launching a ton of products. And so I launched a bunch of variations on the main product. And then I started to really build my brand around that first product and wanted to really have a brand message around women's lifestyle, healthy lifestyle, active living. And so I started creating and launching products that would support women in all of that. And that was most of 2015 and continued to see a lot of top line growth then.
So how much did you have to invest in that year? Obviously, you took the funds from the good Q4, but obviously you had to make sure you had enough inventory and stuff. So how many products in 15 did you do, and what was the kind of money you put behind it?
You're really testing my memory here, Danny.
That's all right. You can be quite vague about it. It's just trying to get an overview of the story.
It was definitely under 10 products. And a lot of it was, again, working with suppliers. I just was really lucky early on to develop these relationships with suppliers and convince them that, I was successful. I knew what I was doing on Amazon. If you could front me the inventory and just let me pay, as we go. That didn't happen with all suppliers, but it happened with a few of them and certainly my main supplier. So it was still the line of infusion water bottles. And then I created a second type of bottle that really fueled the growth for the other products. I did have a lot of failures in those product launches that year, for sure.
Cool. And then going into Q4 of 15, how was that for you?
It was, again, another record-breaking Q4. I grew again. I want to say my growth year over year from 2015 to 2014 to 15 was about 80%, I believe. And so really stocked up on those infusion water bottles and really did a lot of campaigns around gifting. And it was, again, it blew my mind, just the amount and the volume of sales that I did in that Q4. And really every Q4 since then, it was always big. And certainly competition started to creep in, but we can get into all that.
Yeah. So what about failures? Did you, in the first 18 months, did you have any products that didn't work out?
Yeah. How much time do we have to talk about failures? Because we might have
That's fine. All that we need. Go.
You know what? I was lacking cohesion on my target customer. And so I launched a lot of products that I think that I would have liked, but not necessarily my customers would have liked. So they all were base hits, and they had a lot to live up to because the first product was a home run. So I would say they were base hits, and certainly they fueled the growth, but there was a lot of dead weight. Within the next year, I really knew that I kind of needed to streamline that product line and kind of start again with another set of products.
Cool. And how did you clear up the mess? Because it's not always easy, is it? You launch products, they die. You've got to separate the anxiety, the trauma bonding to them products.
Exactly.
How did you deal with that?
It was actually really hard for me up until the time I sold my business. So I definitely got married to my products when I designed them, and the packaging and all the effort that went into it to make them look very aesthetically beautiful. I really put a lot of sweat and tears into them. And so it was hard to let go. And so, I can talk about later when it came time to sell my business, I still had not streamlined my product mix enough to where there was a lot of inventory that the buyer of my business did not want because it just wasn't selling through at a high enough velocity.
Right, gotcha. And then where do we go next? So we've hit 15 and 16. What was 17 looking like for you?
Yeah, so 17, I was the object of, or I should say I was the victim of shiny object syndrome. So I started to hear a lot in the interwebs about you've got to diversify off of Amazon. You can't be a one-trick pony. You're not a real business unless you've, gotten traffic off of Amazon. So I started in all different directions, really trying to build an audience off of Amazon, drive traffic to my own website, drive traffic from my website to Amazon. And I would say that I pretty much failed at that. I was not good at it. And I tried hiring a bunch of different types of agencies, everything from SEO agencies to Facebook marketing agencies. And because I didn't know what I was really doing, I don't think I hired the right people to help me. So that was I look at that as a lot of wasted time, effort, and resources. And if I had put that all into what I had gotten good at, which was Amazon and launching products on Amazon and not feeling like insecure or imposter syndrome because I'm the only one that's not off of Amazon, I think I would have grown a lot more. But I definitely wasted a lot of time that year in 2017.
So what year did you sell?
The business transaction closed in February of 2020, but I listed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I listed the business for sale in May of 2019.
Gotcha. So let's go into 18. So going into Q4, what was you doing around this time? So the story about the off Amazon traffic that failed, was that something that died a death over a period of time?
Yes, it was.
Or is it something when you go, right, I've had enough, I'm not going to bother that, and then you switch gears back onto Amazon?
Yeah, because especially looking at my numbers for that year, I had spent a lot of money on agencies, a lot of money on ads, and with no really true ROI. And so it really impacted my bottom line that year. So my profitability for my business went down that year significantly.
Yeah. Gotcha. And so when did you actually decide and get it in your mind, it's time to sell?
It was actually that very next year in 2018. I started to think about, what do I want for my business long-term and why? And really evaluating what my special sauce was, what my skill sets were, where I wanted to take the business. And I had grown it to a 7-figure business. And I knew that I could develop the skills to take it to 8 figures if I wanted to, but it just did not sound appealing to me. I knew I would have to build teams and build systems, elaborate systems and teams. And that's just not something that I felt like doing at that point. So I realized, I think that the best thing that I can do is to build this brand, to sell it for a big payday, and then, move on. I can create another brand after that. So that's what I decided to do in 2018, was to really focus on, I wasn't focused on growth anymore, or launching a lot of new products. I was focused on the bottom line. Right.
And so I know that you've got a lot of experience now because you do exits. We'll talk about that, the post-exit. So you've got your background, you was formerly an attorney, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And what was your discipline there? What did you cover?
I was a civil litigator. So I did all kinds of insurance defense work. So a lot of personal injury, medical malpractice, construction defect, but everything involving, basically going from the beginning to trial as a litigator, I did.
Okay. So did any of that benefit you when it come to dealing with Amazon when they messed you around for some reason?
You know what? Absolutely. Sometimes I look back and I think, gosh, if I had started e-commerce, sooner, I'd be so much, in a different place right now or just farther ahead. And all the skills, though, that I learned as an attorney, I think really helped me up until this day. It helps you be really analytical. It helps you deal with pressure. It helps you deal with a lot of stress. I mean, being a litigator is very stressful, high anxiety, and very contentious. You're always basically fighting and arguing with somebody. So that has its pros and cons.
Well, you can't be in war mode all the time because it just drains you, doesn't it? At some point, you've got to have your equilibrium. There's a time and a place for all of those kind of things when you have to go into battle for some reason. But being in consistent battle like that, it's not good for the body.
Exactly. I think I really fatigued my adrenals and fatigued, things very early on, always being in that fight or flight state. And that's what led me to the decision that I didn't want to, practice law for the rest of my life. I could see some of the older partners at my firm, and you could just see it in their face how burnt out they were. And I just knew that wasn't the life that I wanted to pursue long term.
And would you say a lot of those guys were miserable as well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I still know plenty of miserable attorneys. I'm not saying that you can't find happiness and passion in the law, but certainly the route that I picked, and it was a good fit when I was young and single and, just had nobody to worry about but myself. But after, that, once I got married and had kids, it was just too all consuming of a career for me.
Yeah, I think the happiest lawyer that I know is Paul Rafelson. But I think for him, awesome. he has meaning behind what he does because he fights for Amazon sellers. He goes up against Amazon and stuff. He's got something there that gives him meaning to do it. And whenever you speak to him, he's not stressed out. He's never stressed out. He always seems happy and positive. I've got legal guys here and stuff, but it's funny. I don't see many happy lawyers.
I know, it's sad. It's sad, but true.
Like, I think same. We had Ann Ferris on when we done her in depth. She was in legal as well. Hated it. In the end, she just burnt out and left. But anyway, back to your story. So when did you list? And so let's walk through the process now. Did you have any skills in terms of exits from previously, or was this your first rodeo?
This was my first rodeo, but I took it extremely seriously, and I did a lot to build up to my actual decision of when I put my business on the market. So I did a lot of self-education. I tried to get my hands on whatever resources were out there to learn about how to sell a business, because up until that point, and this is a point that I want to drive home for Amazon sellers, is we are taught how to sell on Amazon. We're not taught how to sell a business. And so I really wanted to educate myself as much as possible on the selling process. So, I found a couple podcasts. They weren't Amazon specific or e-commerce specific. They were just about exit planning and building your business to sell. And, but there was a lack of resources out there, and that's one thing that drove me to do what I'm doing now, is to help Amazon sellers with exit planning. But a few years ago, there wasn't as much information out there. And so I just really wanted to be as knowledgeable as I could so that I could get maximum value when it came time to sell my business.
Yeah. And so what were the next steps? You listed, who did you list with? Can you talk about that? Or?
Yes, I used, and there's many options that you can use to, help as your intermediary sell your business. I chose to go with an investment banking firm, and there aren't a lot of investment banking firms that work in what's called the lower middle market space, which is, Amazon e-commerce businesses that are, doing sub $20 million in revenue. And so this particular investment banking firm, they were dipping their toes into the lower middle market, and now they do a lot of deals in the Amazon e-commerce space. But they were just wonderful to work with. I'm still great friends with all of them, still do a lot of, collaborating with them, and they were awesome. So I couldn't be more happy. So
let's talk about getting your business prepared. What were some of the early struggles? Did you have to reverse engineer the business? And
yeah, it's what we did, and what they do with their clients is we did all of the due diligence up front. And I'm sure a lot of people have heard of what due diligence, and it's like this nightmare of a time. And it is very difficult to go through. It's when a buyer is basically looking under the hood of your business and verifying every little detail. And so what was great about this firm was they prepared me for that due diligence process, not only by having me gather all of the information and documents and putting it into a virtual data room, but also just prepared me for it's kind of like a big, long hike that you're going through once you get your business under LOI and going through due diligence, and you have to have the stamina to make it through. And so I felt very well prepared.
Yeah. So let's walk down the last 72 hours. Nervous, things falling apart. So walk me through the story.
Oh gosh. Well, there was a lot of that. Living in California, my business, my LLC is in California. And so there are a lot of California legal issues that came up, something called the bulk sales clause, which, to be honest, I still don't even understand why they were applying that to my business. But the attorney for the lender of the acquirer of my business required it. So that created a lot of stress and anxiety towards the end. But the last 72 hours, aside from that, were pretty smooth. The money, transferred to my bank account. And I can tell you that is one of the best feelings I've ever had.
We always ask this when we do life after exit. So the deal went through fine. Did you have any complications, last minute bait and switching or anything like that?
No, but there was a lot of issues that revolved around the financing of the deal. So the buyer who bought my business, he used SBA financing, which, if your business can qualify for SBA financing, you really open up the options for buyers and the potential pool of buyers. And so the bank or the lender that he used, it was their first e-commerce deal. So it was just a shit show, to put it mildly. They didn't know what they were doing. And so it created a lot of the goalpost just kept moving. And that's why it took so long for my deal to close. Because like I said, I listed it in May of 2019 and the deal did not close until February of 2020. So
that's quite a long time. I mean, when you look at the aggregators in this space, some of them are closing deals in 45 to 60 days. That's become that situation seems to be becoming more and more sophisticated and deals are done a lot faster nowadays.
Yeah. And it depends on the type of buyer that's buying your business. I mean, the due diligence that I went through is nothing that you would have to go through if you were to sell your business to an aggregator. It's a lot more streamlined process because they're really more looking at just your Amazon metrics. They're not looking at the business as a whole. And so it's very easy for them to go in and, just through access to Seller Central, be able to get all your data and see how you're doing on Amazon. And there's a lot of other reasons. But I definitely know the aggregator model and what they're looking for. And it's a lot more streamlined than selling, traditionally like through a broker or through an investment bank.
Yeah. Cool. Talk about the feeling. You wake up one day, you dial in, you look at your bank account. Talk me through.
Oh gosh. I still have a sense of euphoria from it because just this feeling of I created something starting with about $2,500 of seed money to start this business. And then I have over 7 figures put into my bank account was just crazy and surreal. And it still is. Now, a lot of the money was spoken for already for, investments and things that my husband and I had planned. So the money kind of came in and then it went back out to fund those investments. But still, I would not have had that money had I not done that right. And then, some set aside just for financial, security. And the feeling of that, it makes you feel like you can go out now and do anything. Like the pressure's off. I don't have to go out there just to make money. I can actually go out and do what I have a passion for. And sure, I still need to make a living, but that's not what driving it. With that business, I was driving it to create value and to sell it and to create some financial independence in my life.
So did you enjoy the process or was it just, look, I need to make a lot of money and then I can not be happy, but then I can be more choosy about what I want to do and pursue my passion?
It sounds so much like my former life coach. No, I definitely enjoyed the journey and that was very important. So I don't want it to sound like I was, holding off on my happiness until I sold my business. I enjoyed every moment of my, building my brand and selling it. It was awesome. And I want to do it again.
Yeah. No, I think it's important. I think there's a lot of people out there will go through what they call the pain to get to the other side, to then enjoy their life and then get there and then they're not happy, and they forget that the process that you go through also has to be enjoyable. And if you are able to enjoy the process, you'll probably be good at it. And if you're good at it, it's easier to get out of bed in the morning and it's less like a job. So I'll be interested to know, can we talk about the investments? Because I think it's quite important because a lot of the time, I think it's the 6th or 7th life after exit we've done. Nearly everyone didn't go and buy a flash car. Nearly everyone didn't go out and celebrate, or there was always something going on. And nearly everyone said, it hasn't changed their life. Financially, it does, but it's like, yeah, this is great. It's a win. Let's move and go again. So it's quite an interesting reaction, because obviously sometimes the picture is built. Yeah, you'll hit the money and then you go out and you buy the mansion, or whatever you need to do. But most people are like, how did it change? Well, I've got some more money in the bank. It's quite interesting, the dynamics of that. So what really changed for you, apart from, yeah, you can go again and you've got that safety net? Is there anything else that you got from it as well, from your first exit?
Oh gosh, a ton. First, just the experience of having gone through it. And as much as I enjoyed it, selling a business and then operating it up until the time that it is sold are 2 full-time jobs. So it was a lot of work. It was stressful. But I took so much away from that experience, and just learning about this whole mergers and acquisitions process, and learning about the value of these businesses that me and so many of my friends and colleagues have built just out of thin air, are worth so much money in the marketplace, as we know, because of all these aggregators, right, are just teaming, trying to get their hands on these businesses. And it's such an exciting feeling in industry, and just knowing that we're still just in the infancy of e-commerce, and that, right now it's still just 15% of all online retail. And every day I just wake up and I pinch myself, and I feel so grateful that I'm in this industry. Now, I'm not currently building a brand right now, but I'm either going to start another one from scratch, or I'm going to buy one and start it, a smaller one.
Yeah.
But life after my exit was really all about, okay, I love all this stuff about selling businesses. And I truly believe that one of the quickest ways to build wealth is to build a business and then sell it and then do it over and over and over again. That's just kind of like what I kind of landed on now. And so I'm passionate about helping sellers realize the value of their biggest asset that they've built is probably their Amazon business, and making sure that they do everything to maximize the value of it, whether they decide to keep it forever so that they're getting optimal cash flow from it, or sell it someday for a big payday.
Cool. Right. Before we get into the investments, if we can talk about those,
Sure. Yeah.
I'll be interested. Let's go to the comments. So Jackie says, hi. Side B says, happy Tuesday. All good here. Looks like we're being groomed for an extended lockdown. This is in the UK.
Yeah.
So keep moving. Michelle Venton, another person who exited. You may know each other. She's one of the hosts of Branded by Women. By the way, guys, Kelly's going to be featured at the next Branded by Women also. So she says, hey, listen in live on my dog walk. Can't wait to hear this one. Wellington's back. Good morning, guys. Let's make it a great day for everyone. Yana's here. Hey, Kellianne, great to see you. Sybi has a question. Can you ask, if you sell for 1 million after everything is washed out, such as commission, taxes, debts, etc., approximately how much would you walk away with?
Great question. And I am not giving tax or legal advice, so let's just be clear about that. And it depends on a lot of factors, but to keep it really simple, as of today, you're going to pay most likely capital gains tax, the capital gains tax rate on your sale. And so the federal long-term capital gains tax rate right now is anywhere from 15 to 20%. And then depending on your state, I live in California, which doesn't have a capital gains rate. So all of that was taxed at ordinary income rates. So if it's taxed at capital gains, you would apply that. If you're using a broker or a M&A advisor, typically you're going to pay about a 10% commission. So on $1 million sale, let's say you pay about $300,000 in taxes and maybe another $100,000 as your fee. So you'd walk away with about $600,000.
Cool. All right, let's talk about the investments.
Yeah, so I am very passionate and bullish about real estate investing. And specifically for my wealth building strategy, I've decided to focus on just single family rentals, which sounds, boring. It's not as exciting as multifamily or syndications and things like that. But with all the predictions going on, we are going to have a massive shortfall in housing in this country over the next decade. And so I'm being very bullish and trying to build a very large portfolio in single family rentals all over the country so that I'm diversified. And so doing that, then I hope to someday get into more passive investing, investing in real syndications and things like that. But right now it's all single family. And I'm pretty much just every cent that I make is going to fund that portfolio, because in about 5 years, I want to just be living on mailbox money and have the ability to travel and to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and work whenever I want, which right now I can, but it's a different going from financial independence to complete financial freedom is a lot different. And, I'm getting to the stage in my life where I want to have that option. Like if I just decide to check out for a year and not do anything, I want to have that option. Will I do it? Probably not, but I want to have that option.
So if you don't mind sharing, how many have you got in your portfolio at the moment, and what's your plan of how many you're looking to get?
Right now we have about 20 that are under contract, and we're also pursuing some other strategies, not just traditional rentals, but we're doing like some lease options and seller financing and things like that. And then the goal is to get to about 50 properties, and that will allow my husband to retire from his full-time corporate career. And then he'll kind of join me on the investor side in the real estate realm. He's really passionate about investing in the stock market, and he loves day trading and swing trading. So that's kind of his thing. And I'm trying to like pull him over to the real estate side because there's no tax advantages to doing what he does. So, but that's what he's passionate about. So, he wants to be able to work from anywhere as well. And our kids are in high school, and once they graduate, we've talked about maybe becoming expats, living, half of the year in a tax advantage country, because it's really hard in California. Your money just doesn't go as far as it does in other places.
Yeah. And then, so the other string to your bow now, so you've got those as investments, but you've also got an exit business as well. Tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah. So my good friend, Paul Miller, and I started a podcast called Amazing Exits. And it's to help Amazon and e-commerce entrepreneurs, design and achieve their ideal exit. And so whatever that means to them. So we really are trying to get the point across that you need to be educated. You need to learn how to value businesses, what buyers are looking for, and you need to do everything you can to make your business as optimized and efficient as possible. And by doing that, then you have choices. You can sell or not sell, but by optimizing your business for profitability, then you have a lot of options.
Yeah. Cool. Is there anything we've missed off on the list to cover today?
I don't think so. We've covered exit planning. We've covered my journey on Amazon, amazing exits. So that's about, all I have going on right now.
Cool. Excellent. So what's coming up in the bar COVID and everything else and your investments? What are some of the passion projects you want to undertake over the next couple of years?
Well, my passion projects are first starting very selfishly at home. I'm trying to find an e-commerce business to either buy or start with my daughters. I am trying to, my daughters are beautiful, wonderful girls, straight A students, but they have not really embraced the thought of entrepreneurship yet. And so I am really trying to get them to join me and learn and start their own business and invest in a piece of real estate, regardless of whether they go to college and pursue a traditional career path. And so that's very important to me. And then beyond that, I would love to start a mentoring program someday for teenage girls and let them learn that there's another path besides going to college, getting into debt, and starting a career that most likely won't pay for that college debt.
Excellent. Kelly, what's the best way that people can reach you if they want to reach out?
They can find me on Facebook at Kellianne Fedio and LinkedIn at Kellianne Fedio. And Amazing Exits, they can go to our website and they can, we have an assessment called the Freedom Score. They can take that, or they can just contact me through there. And that's probably the best. And I would just hope that, people tune into the podcast, listen. It's pretty unique in that we're focused on is how to, optimize your business for sale. So hopefully people will tune in and listen to that.
Great. Thank you for coming in today, guys. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. I'll be back here 4 p.m. BST tomorrow. As always, see you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Danny. Bye, everybody.